Crypto is currently in a massive bloodbath, but I'm not worried, but it was very, very brutal. So let me dive in and tell you why and what's going on. So firstly, over $188 billion was wiped out from the crypto market in the past 24 hours. This is just prices of things going down. However, the actual amount of liquidations was massive. I'm going to show you a couple of things that suggest it was, 2 billion. However, CEO and co-founder of Bybit, Ben, says that Bybit alone was responsible for 2.1 billion. So he's estimating 8 to 10 billion. A lot of people long. If you're shorting, you absolutely just cooked. But shorting in a time like this is kind of scary. Now, just keep in mind in the overall view of things, like all of this stuff that happened, it didn't bother me in the slightest because I don't leverage trade. And when I do, it normally doesn't end very well. And one of my friends leveraged and lost like a decent amount. So you do have to be very, very mindful. I've lost like a little bit, putting a $400 bonk on with leverage that would have been gone a little while ago. But it's $400, not thousands and thousands. In general, for many people watching this will be like the first time that something like this has happened. And you're going to have a question like, is the bull market over? No, I do not think so. Not by a long shot, not even slightly. Other people say, is this a black swan event? And most people don't even know what that means. So you can go have a look at it because people would have different definitions. But no, it's not. It's just markets being markets. And we're in this very new, speculative, leveraged up system where things like that can kind of happen. Coinbase put this out last year, and it's so good as a thread. So you think you can hodl? Here's what it means. And it goes through a couple of points, but there have been 5 Bitcoin bull markets. In the average bull market, you have to survive the following to ride it to the top. And this is not a period of like one day. One day is quite brutal. But 6, 5 to 10% drawdowns, 3, 10 to 20% drawdowns, 2, 20 to 30% drawdowns, 1, 30 to 40% drawdown, and 1, 40 to 70% drawdown. So Bitcoin price could go down 60% potentially in previous bull cycles and then still make an all-time high or a higher high or all-time high actually in that particular cycle. So that's just to put it into perspective that what happened was brutal and, not for the faint-hearted, but like it's all part of just the normal cycle. Miles says that this was worse than Luna and worse than FTX. I mean, the thing is, that's in a previous cycle. There's more money in the ecosystem now. The actual vibes of this, that's not worse. It's definitely not worse now. It's brutal, but it's not worse. It was far more crazy when Luna went down because that went from like $85 and a couple of days later, it was like less than a cent. So that was insane. And FTX, this completely just wrecked everything because this was in the bear market when, people were just, holding on for hope. So it was bad, but not that bad. In general, though, he has got a very good kind of summary on why this all happened. So basically, it comes down to Trump implementing a tariff tax on imports from Mexico and Canada of 25%. There's also 10% for China. And, my speculation and my viewpoint here is there's drugs coming in from both these countries. Drugs are probably the most damaging thing to humans. And whether or not people see there's like an agenda or whatever, he's gone in with like guns blazing and he's getting a reaction. And I think the tariffs will come down significantly, but their governments will have to clean up and just protect the border from no drugs coming in, which will be hard to do, of course, but it's pretty important. In response to that, the Canadian dollar hits a 22 low against the US dollar, and Canada doesn't have a whole lot of trade relations with a lot of countries because previous governments, they worked mostly with like the US. They don't have, pipelines to get their oil and gas into Europe, as an example. And if they did, then they could just go, all right, well, we'll sell to you. So unfortunately, due to, taking the easy option's easy until it's no longer there. Justin Trudeau is not well liked amongst Canadians, and I don't like him at all. So he just needs to be replaced. Like someone needs to come and his party needs to get someone else. Otherwise, they need to do some sort of, spring an election and just get someone there that's willing to work. Keep in mind that as much as you may dislike Trump, Trump is good for the US citizens overall, I think, because you don't want someone that's just a really nice person. You want someone that's going to war for your citizens. Your job as a government is to protect your citizens. You can replace Trump with Biden. It doesn't really matter. Just someone needs to protect their citizens aggressively. Number one is them. The rest of the world is certainly low on the priority. So then the US, stocks and whatnot fell. BTC dominance climbed because it's a safer asset. ETH wicked down crazily low, down to 2100. Would have been a very good time to load up there. BTC hit 91K, and well, there's a little bit more news, but essentially alts got absolutely destroyed. Bonk went down like over 20%. So if you had a bonk long on or whatever, it was brutal. Bonk will do well. They will do well. They're just gonna have to change their strategy. And there needs to be more, I guess, like really diehard holders of it. Now, the European Union has warned Donald Trump if he imposes tariffs, it will retaliate, which is fine. They don't have a whole lot. Probably the only market that really, really is vital to the US would probably be like Taiwan for the chips. I don't know that for sure, but anything that's coming from Europe could probably be done locally, or they could source from somewhere else. So basically, you have to be. European Union can't be as aggressive as Trump because they're smaller. They don't run anything. They're a bunch of countries that are at each other's throats quite often. There's a big divide. There's, issues over here with immigration and whatnot per some people, and then no issues with other. Either way, it's like a bit of a mess here. And that's what makes it kind of scary. Now, this is a fantastic book, The End of the World by Peter Zeihan. He does a whole lot of podcasts as well. You can watch him. He's not going to have everything right, of course, but in general, he basically believes that the world will go to more of a nationalist kind of approach. It won't be so globalist friendly, meaning you're more inclined to look after your own country and try and do everything within it. You're not going to get everything right, as opposed to importing from other countries. He just sees that is what's going to happen, and we can talk about that in another video. Now, the state of the actual crypto market, crazily brutal. Sol did really, really well. Here it says it's down 9.34%, but earlier I saw on CoinGecko, it's basically tracking down the same as Bitcoin. So it was like -5, -5. XRP, Doge, ETH, Sui as well. Like, I don't want to hold my breath too long, but Sol actually did really, really well. And poor thing for ETH because they absolutely tanked. Now, this is, of course, not financial advice, but your best time to be deploying capital is when people are fearful. 44, and then with CoinMarketCap, it's 39. So this is the lowest it's been since it came down briefly in this area in November, but otherwise it was ages ago, back in September. Keep in mind that things can go lower. I don't anticipate that they are going to happen. The US stock market will open, things will go into free fall, but a lot of these gains will be made up. Trump will go in and will work with people, and people will say, yes, we'll put $10 billion into preventing drugs coming in. And the Mexican government will be a lot harder because of corruption and whatnot, potential corruption. But these things will resolve, and they'll end up being aggressive, but they'll work themselves out, and then stocks will kind of jump on up. In general, though, like, there's a big reason why so much of what I cover is Solana. Even though I think Sui has some potential, and there are some other things that have potential, just people use Solana. They want Solana. Things are launching on Solana. It works. And Sol's dominance has increased. BTC dominance is up crazily. This will come on down as soon as the alt season kind of starts, but who knows exactly when that's going to happen. Some people think it's going to be February. I think it's not going to be February. I think February will be a month of just working out stuff with this trade stuff, and then there'll be like maybe a little bit more of a low happening in February from time to time. Like, we'll rebound, take some profits, buy back low or something like that. It could happen. Maybe not as brutal as this, but maybe there's a little bit more of a low that comes in, and then March, and then we start to go more off to the races. And everything's dynamic. As soon as there's more data that comes out, things change. In general, though, Camino has been standing on its own 2 feet. Fantastic product, pretty good token, low float, high FTV, so not perfect there, but I do think the token will go higher. So Sol went down. JLP is a good way to hedge, and also you make a whole lot of bank on fees when traders lose money. And in terms of bad debt, it was very good. Liquidations in JLP 0, so they did really, really well. In other news, there's still more pre-sales going on. There's a pre-sale that's gone out for a token called Pain, and it raised a decent amount of money. Just keep in mind that these things fail like 99.9% of the time, so you're probably better off to not gamble like that. Let's have a quick look at the charts. So this is not mine, so I'm not going to play around with it too much, but we can see there's, you know, a decent amount of support here from like 183 to 175, and we kind of jumped into this right now, and then we bounced up. Like, shorting is kind of scary. So if you were to short just by simply selling your soul, not leverage necessarily, at this point you would have made a little bit of money shorting here, and you would be down, well, you'd be making a decent profit. You'd be able to buy back a lot lower. I'm waiting for this to kind of come out a little bit more before I then start to sell it, although I've kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I've bought some at this level because we've jumped off the support, and I'm starting to put it into a DLMM system, which I'll show you shortly. But in general, check this out. Use these different indicators. They're fantastic. Have a quick look at Portal. So this is Kato's UI. This is like premium. So AI has 33% of its market share, of the market share. It was 40%. So this has dipped down. So people, people are leaving this a little bit with all this DeepSeek news. Meme coins not doing terribly well. They're kind of where they were. DeFi picked up a little bit. It was around 10%. It's kind of come up a little bit, but I don't know how long this this chart kind of represents. A little bit of tension on GameFi, but in general, like, all I'm trying to point out is your big three is AI, meme, and DeFi. DeFi is far more my skill set, so that's what I'm going to teach. It's far easier to make money with DeFi than it is with these two. This is like, be in the trenches, get rugged 99 times, maybe you make it the 100th. One strategy you can use is using Meteora. Learn Meteora, please use Meteora. And as you make decent gains, stake your soul with Validator.com. Staking your soul right now, because of all of the inflation rewards and MEV, is earning you over 11%. So you put some profits in there, you lock them away, you can sell it when soul gets to much higher amounts. Not financial advice, just my opinion. So the great thing with Meteora is we've got all these different strategies, and we earn MET points. And the reason why I'm switching far more into this is because I initially started the 10K to 100K challenge just by buying good tokens that had good fundamentals and taking risks in certain areas. The issue is the market is so different. You just need to enter, exit, enter, exit, enter, exit. It's far more challenging this year than previous years. Of course, you still have your long-term holds, in my opinion, like Jupe, even Camino, but it's attention-based. There's so much attention. So as an idea, and this is just a 10K to 100K wallet, so you can track this. This is some Sol and USDC. In this pool, I've got a couple of other ones. Quite fond of DLMMing this GET token. You can watch that video. If I'm DLMMing something, it's specifically for a profit. So I want to enter and I want to exit. I did have some plans here with like Sol and Wrapped ETH. What I wanted to do was buy some ETH at a much lower position. So I put it into spot, but never got filled. So one thing you can do, and I'll just show it to you quickly now. I'll withdraw and close this position. Make sure you're using decent fees when it comes up here. Something like this, priority fee or even mixed, with a maximum fee of like 0.05005 Sol, something quite sizable. So I'm removing this. I earned a small amount of fees. The goal was, give it a little bit of a refresh. The goal was to buy it at this low price by not going to Jupiter, but just learning this itself, buying it all in one bin like this, one bin, add the liquidity. Ideally, we get all the trading volume that comes through here. And then as this Sol rotates into ETH, we withdraw it and then we change it to an ask system. So let's see if this actually happens, but I'll show you an example with something like Sol. So this is Sol in USDC. We have in here, as the price gets lower and lower and lower, I'm actually going to be buying with my USDC Sol. And then you can see, I don't really care about trading fees right here. So I've withdrawn the Sol. As it went down, I withdrew the Sol. And then the next step would be a bid ask, which we can do it with these parameters or new parameters in a new position. And we don't have a whole lot of Sol here. So that's not going to work terribly. We'll just get a little bit quickly, 1 second, up into Solflare. Quick reminder, Mega Toy Machine Live is live. Get amongst that. Get our $50 here, swap it into Sol, confirm. I'm not saying the bottom is in. Okay, so that's certainly not what I'm saying, but I still see this as a decent buying opportunity. And if it goes lower, well, I think Sol's going to go much higher. So you will be in profit eventually, is what my thought process is. What you do once you've accumulated some Sol in this bid system is go and put it here like this in a bid ask, and you can see you can have a whole range of upside. So maybe you think, well, I don't want to be too greedy. I'll start selling it from this point into this point. And that way you're getting higher and higher. You can withdraw the USDC when you want to, and you're also going to generate some fees. Quickly back to the portfolio, into Sol and Wrapped ETH. This hasn't transferred across like what I was after. There's just no trading volume on this pair or something, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll withdraw and we'll close the position, and I'll just show you the other setup that I wanted to do. We'll just go into here. You can use Solflare, of course. I like Solflare, but just keep in mind that there is a swap fee here. So definitely I use it for like small swaps, but for like really big swaps, I try Meteora, this system I just showed you, or I'll use Tube directly. Did that go through? Confirm. Great. Add liquidity. Add it all like this. Bid ask. Okay, so I'm actually in the wrong liquidity pool. I'm in Sol and Wrapped ETH, when what I need to be in is actually Wrapped ETH and Sol. So if you jump into it here, we want Wrapped ETH to be first and not Sol first. I don't want a bin step like 10, maybe more like 80. There's no TVL in here. That's a kind of a low bin step. There's not a lot of TVL here, fortunately. Well, it's not ideal, but I'll show you anyway. So we need Wrapped ETH to be first, and then we go like this, and then we will sell it at a higher price for Sol. And well, it's only going to have a gain of 7% with this particular DLMM. So that's not a great strategy because there's not a whole lot of liquidity sitting in Meteora. But that's a strategy that I'm using right now, and that's what I think is far better to learn. And I'm working on a whole lot of Meteora content. Now, a little reminder, PENGU claim will end in 5 days. So you've only got maybe today left. They're not very specific on the exact day and time. So just go and do it today. Claim.pudgypenguins.com. Do it today. Maybe it's still going tomorrow. I'm just not sure. And the final thing that I'll end with is back to Meteora. As you start to jump into this experience, you're going to have impermanent loss. But if you've got a good strategy like Valkyrie Finance, you can see they're generating a massive amount in fees of 350,000. This is all in 1 month, so not very long at all. And then they've got impermanent loss, like if they just held the token, and then total US dollar profits, $60,000. So Meteora is a cheat code. You just got to learn it well. Thanks for watching. A little bit of a longer one today, but just in general, I don't believe the bottom is in. It's a good time to keep on learning. Do not get liquidated. Make sure your Camino position, if you're borrowing USD against it, is very, very healthy. So if Sol does dip down to 150, you're not going to be liquidated. I don't necessarily see that happening, but who knows what happens. These are trade tariff wars. These involve basically the most powerful government people in the world.
Whoa. Hmm?